I know you've already taken a public position, but in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved, if you're elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign it.
It is funny. A stupid policy that's going to rip this country apart and cost $1 trillion. That is funny. And that is who she is, Kamala Harris. All right. The media continue to give her a free pass, a golden parachute, who knows what. But this is the real Kamala, and she's got problems.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Only in America can she be the joy candidate, right? Whoa! How about how she treats the little people, huh? The people who work for her, the secretaries, people like that, the so-called little people. They can't stand her. They want out. 92% staff turnover. It is a hostile workplace, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows that she is incompetent, she is incorrigible, and this really can't be happening, but it is. Check this out.
Swing voters don't like Harris, and focus groups conducted by the Democratic National Committee also found Harris rubs some people the wrong way.
When she doesn't like a question that she gets, she often deflects in a way that can seem defensive.
They don't like her. There's lots of reasons they don't like her.
We're hearing it from mainstream media, one outlet after another, one leak after another. That Kamala Harris is the worst vice president ever, the worst politician ever.
These are all liberals. The worst vice president, the worst politician ever. Wow. So what happened? All right. Who in high school did not get to sit at the cool table? This actually looks like grammar school, but whatever. You know what I mean? Remember, there were like little cliques, right? And maybe you sat with the cool kids, maybe you didn't. And maybe you had to go to the library to read the newspaper because you didn't have enough friends. There's that too. They just decided. Media are kind of like the cliques in high school, right? They go with the flow. It's very gossipy, superficial. And suddenly the nerdy kid inherited $1 billion and everybody wants to be the friend of that kid. Well, that is the kind of situation that Kamala Harris is in. Now, the hostages, 6 of them with bullets in their head, show up dead, including an American citizen, huh? And we're going to pretend that this is not a big deal. Joe is going to pretend that he did a lot to get these people free, that he's been working on it. How did they put it? Tirelessly. This kind of goes to the whole thing about, Kamala Harris is suddenly like a normal, capable person. This is the denial of reality. Now, everybody knows about, in the mainstream media at least, about Kamala and her deficiencies. Look at how they act. Look at how they act about this hostage situation. Same way with Kamala. This guy, is he in a trance or what? An American was just shot in the head in Gaza. And this guy says, well, at least they worked hard to get him free.
What has gotten lost is the intense amount of diplomacy, of hard work that this administration has been putting in, not just at the level of President Biden and Vice President Harris, who's been involved in making calls, but we see it in Brett McGurk, who has made multiple trips, Secretary of State Tony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, and John Feiner in the National Security Council. There has been so much work that has been done to try to bring a deal to the table.
They worked so hard, and they didn't get a deal. It's like in a trance, too. They're like so on message. These people wound up dead. And the mainstream media said, well, at least they worked hard. They worked really hard. They worked so hard. But they're wound up dead. And they celebrate, and they giggle, and they have a great time. Kamala Harris put this picture of herself out. She said, I love America. It looks to me like she loves herself, right? And she doesn't like the hard work. They don't like the hard work. They like the planes. They like the events. They like the fame, huh? All right. I think we're going to find out some truth at next week's debate. I hope. The debate is a week from yesterday, next Monday, okay? And a couple of things. We're hearing that Kamala Harris really wants to bring Tim Walz. Can they arrange it for Tim Walz to show up? Remember how he was at that CNN interview, the first one ever? And we'll see. It's curious that the Harris campaign put out this letter tonight. They're agreed. Okay, the mic will be muted between questions, and they think that puts her at a disadvantage. They came out and said it. Vice President Harris, a former prosecutor, will be fundamentally disadvantaged by this format, which will serve to shield Donald Trump from direct exchanges with the vice president. Going into the debate, saying that there's going to be a disadvantage. Well, look, they're the ones who asked for this stuff with Biden, the muted microphone, and it does help Trump. We love Trump. But let's face it, in 2020, he didn't give Biden enough rope with which to hang himself. And I thought he would have, given the space. Do you remember?
You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're a
to answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
would you answer that
because
question?
the question is the question is
the radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
We have
going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second
segment.
segment.
Look, I do think if he gave Biden a little bit more room to talk, Biden would have dug his own grave. The muted mics actually helped Trump. All he did was wait there, let him hang himself, look at him curiously every now and then. It was beautiful. Now they have realized they got a problem on their hands. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. David Muir is the moderator. I gave him a hard time yesterday because, quite frankly, he deserves one, all right? He's one of these guys all into the superficial, all into the look of things, not into the substance. This man sat down 3 consecutive years with the President of the United States and would not ask him about the border, right? The border. That's kind of a big deal issue. Most Americans put it number 1, number 2. Interview after interview, he didn't raise it. You get an exclusive interview with the president, right? Ask about the border. Say something about the border. Don't you think it's an important issue? He blows it off. Why? You blow it off if you want to, well, get access. You don't ask about what the people want to know. You ask what they want you to ask. That's how the game is played. What's the other thing? Oh, and this guy is woke as they come. Watch this.
The confrontation caught on video, a white woman blocking a black tenant from entering their apartment building, demanding proof that he lives there.
Dun, 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 dun. The woman, let's take a look at the woman. All right, now what did she do wrong again? Okay, she's walking a dog. He was talking like this. Now let's go through his words one more time. What happened? A white woman blocking a black tenant, I apologize for not capitalizing the B, from entering their apartment building, demanding proof that he lives there. This is where Peter Jennings said the Berlin Wall is coming down, and now we're hassling white women walking the dog. This is crazy stuff. This guy's going to be moderating the debate. Who knows what's going to happen? I think it's going to be a good night, though, despite their efforts. All right, now this.
In the aftermath of the attack, the Justice Department began its work on what has become one of the largest, most complex, and most resource-intensive investigations in our history. Only a small number of perpetrators were arrested in the tumult of January 6th itself. Every day since, we have worked to identify, investigate, and apprehend defendants from across the country.
Talk about the biggest overreaction for political reasons, right? The biggest investigation since September 11th because some guy put his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Really? This is Merrick Garland, and he's creating more trouble. I don't trust this guy, neither the FBI, about our upcoming election. Sure, it's just a few months away, so now's the time for Garland and the federal government to start getting in the middle of things.
In a democracy, people vote and argue and debate, often loudly, in order to achieve the policy outcomes they desire. And the Justice Department will continue to relentlessly protect the rights of all Americans to peacefully express their opinions, beliefs, and ideas. But the promise of our democracy is that people will not employ violence to achieve their preferred outcomes. The public servants who administer our elections must be able to do their jobs without fearing for their lives. That is why this task force has been marshaling the full resources of the Justice Department to aggressively investigate and prosecute threats targeting election workers, officials, and volunteers.
All right, if you think this sounds I don't want anybody to be threatened. That's already against the law. You shouldn't threaten anybody. But what they're trying to do is kind of make the election workers a special class of citizen. And if you criticize them, and yeah, this is a free country, you're allowed to, especially when they do something wrong, you're allowed to say unpleasant things on Facebook, right? That's still our right. But they pretend that we are threatening them, that they are under threat. And some of the worst, the secretaries of state, the Democrat secretaries of state, like Jocelyn Benson. This character is a real piece of work. Oh, boy. Nobody threatens her, okay? But it does make for a good story.
Right now, we are facing an unprecedented wave of continuous, unrelenting harassment and threats. Enduring these threats creates a near constant strain of anxiety and stress on our work. I've experienced these threats firsthand. One night in December 2020, I was about to put my son to bed when dozens of individuals descended upon our home. To this day, these images and this memory of that evening still haunts me. This was not the first, nor was it the last time. As a result, there is an omnipresent feeling of anxiety and dread that permeates our daily lives and those of our families.
An omnipresent feeling of anxiety that pervades her daily life. Let's take a look at her daily life. I had a feeling she was full of it, and turns out she is, because her daily life is actually pretty nice. Yeah, girl power, hanging with her friends, you know? I mean, this is not a woman who's anxious, okay? If you had a couple of rowdy people out on the sidewalk, whatever. Don't run for Secretary of State. It's a statewide office. People sometimes are going to get mad, and I think you're quite frankly digging the attention. But this is very fashionable. We are under attack from MAGA. We are fearful. They played this game in Philadelphia. They had some curious things happen in Pennsylvania, don't you think? This is one of the elections commissioners. They have an election commissioner, several of them in Philadelphia. That's kind of suspicious to begin with. And here's what he said about all the people, you know, threatening his life.
I feel anxiety every time I walk outside of the house. It has changed my life. Legitimately has changed my life. It has changed my behavior and patterns.
Wow, anxiety, just like the other one, anxiety every time she leaves the house. I had a feeling he was full of it too. Turns out he is. Let's watch him leave his house.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Whew. That's right, we out here about to do 3 miles. Then gonna do some push-ups, calisthenics, squats, all that good stuff, that fun stuff. So turning 42. I feel good about being 42. I haven't had a celebration.
You get the sense that he's not worried about anything? This is all a game. And the same goes, if I could jump ahead to Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, or Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, whatever, okay? These two characters, remember that? Oh, boy. How was their life affected again by our concerns that the election was A-OK?
It's turned my life upside down. I no longer give out my business card. I don't transfer calls. I don't want anyone knowing my name. I don't want to go anywhere with my mom because she might yell my name out over the grocery aisle or something. I don't go to the grocery store at all. I haven't been anywhere at all.
Give me a break. She doesn't give out her business card. Who the hell has business cards anymore? And she can't go to the store with her mom. Something's going to happen if I go to the store with my mom. It would be embarrassing for anybody, an adult woman, to have the mother in the next aisle say, "Hey, Ruby or Shay, whatever your name, come over here." They're all lying. I'm sorry, but it's obvious, isn't it? And now the FBI is sanctifying that lie. Thanks a lot, Chris. Any more trouble? More on this charade when we come back.